Chosen one, you didn't find this message by accident. You were led here by God. There's a reason these words have found you today. You are not ordinary. You've sensed it for a long time. The world may have called you crazy, too sensitive, too ambitious, or not enough, but deep within, you've always felt that you were meant for something more. This message isn't just to inspire you, it's to awaken you. The battles you faced, the resistance, the heartbreak, the failures, they weren't punishments. They were signs of your calling. But what if I told you that your greatest enemy was never the world, never your critics, never the obstacles placed before you? What if the greatest threat to your destiny has been the quiet whisper within that said, "You can't"? This is your awakening. It's time to silence the real enemy, your inner doubt. Let's break this down into 7 chapters, each one uncovering a piece of the truth about who you are and what's been holding you back. Before we dive deep, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because this message isn't just content. It's a divine interruption, a spiritual confirmation for the chosen ones who are ready to confront the real battle, the one within. If your spirit resonates with this frequency, drop 77 in the comments right now. That number isn't random, it's a sacred signal, a code to the Most High and to the universe that you're not just listening, you're aligning, you're awakening, you're ready to rise above the voice that's held you back for too long, your inner doubt. Not everyone is meant to finish this message. Some will scroll, some will click away. But the truly chosen, the ones who are tired of shrinking, who are done letting fear call the shots, they will stay. And those who stay will receive clarity, activation, and an unlocking of divine awareness that was always hidden within them. This message isn't a one-time hit, it's living revelation. Every time you return to it, you'll hear something your spirit wasn't ready for before. You'll catch a word, a key, a truth that unlocks another door in your soul. Because this isn't just a message, it's your mirror. And when the chosen one looks in the mirror and sees the truth, the real enemy doesn't stand a chance. Let's dive into it. Chapter 1. The Awakening. You were never ordinary. You've always felt different. Maybe it began when you were just a child, before you could even explain it. While others laughed and played, you found yourself lost in deep thought, asking questions too big for your age. Something in you always searched for more. Not more in a material sense, but something deeper, something eternal, a reason, a purpose, that feeling, that subtle ache in your soul that told you there's more to this life than what you see. That was real. It wasn't fantasy, it wasn't delusion, it was divine. God planted seeds of greatness in you long before you could walk in them, long before you knew how to dream or believe. He had already written your story. You were marked. Not because you were better, but because you were called. And those who are called must be prepared. That's why your path has never been easy. You didn't fit in, and you weren't meant to. You may have been misunderstood, too quiet, too loud, too deep, too sensitive. People told you to relax, to chill, but you couldn't. You were born with awareness. You sensed energy. You noticed pain in people's smiles. You carried burdens that didn't belong to you, yet you carried them anyway, because you were always carrying something, and that something was purpose. Chosen ones are marked early. The calling shows up in isolation, in tension, in seasons where everything seems like it's falling apart. You've spent years trying to make sense of why you feel out of place. It's because you're not here to blend in, you're here to break patterns. But with the call comes the conflict. You've probably asked, if I'm chosen, why is life so hard? Because chosen ones are tested hardest. Your pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Your obstacles weren't curses, they were assignments. Your heartbreaks weren't delays, they were divine redirections. The higher the calling, the greater the resistance. Before David faced Goliath, he was left in the field. Before Joseph ruled Egypt, he was thrown into a pit. Before Jesus walked in power, he was led into the wilderness. Wilderness isn't abandonment, it's training. It's where your character is forged, your discernment sharpened, your identity refined, not by validation, but by truth. You've lost people. You've walked alone. You've cried yourself to sleep. You've been betrayed, doubted, and yet you're still here. Why? Because you were never ordinary. That tug in your chest that keeps pulling you forward, that's not your imagination. That's your calling, rising above the noise. That's God reminding you, you were built for this. The world teaches you to conform, but your soul knows. You weren't born to just exist. You were made to impact. That's why you've never been comfortable with a normal life. You were designed to live a supernatural one. Don't let the struggle convince you you're not chosen. The struggle is the evidence you were set apart, to be prepared. And yes, it comes with pressure. But it also comes with power, the kind that doesn't come from fame or status, but from presence and purpose. This is your awakening, not a motivational speech, a spiritual reminder of who you are. A call back to your origin. You were never meant to be ordinary. You were marked for more. And it's time to remember. Let others call it strange. Let the journey be hard. Let doubt come, but don't let it stay. Because the real you, the awakened you, is rising, and nothing will ever be the same. Chapter 2. The Silent Assassin. Inner Doubts. Subtle voice. You fought battles no one saw, not just the obvious struggles, but the quiet inner wars, the ones behind closed doors, the ones that don't leave scars but nearly broke you from the inside out. This is where the real enemy hides, not in the chaos around you, but in the silence within. Inner doubt, the silent assassin. It doesn't yell, it whispers, just enough to stop you, just enough to make you question everything. It waits until you're about to step forward, right when the opportunity comes, or the moment to speak truth, to take a risk, to walk in your calling. That's when it shows up. And it says things like, "You're not ready. What if you fail? Who do you think you are?" People like you don't do things like that. And slowly you begin to believe it, not because it's loud, but because it sounds like you. It borrows your voice, uses your memories, disguises itself as logic. It sounds like wisdom, but it's just fear in a different outfit. Make no mistake, doubt is not your intuition. It's not protection. It's a lie designed to keep you small. You were never meant to live in hesitation. The enemy knows if he can't destroy you, he'll distract you. He'll delay you. He'll make you think playing it safe is noble, that waiting is wise, that shrinking is humble. But none of that is true. You weren't born to shrink. You were born to rise. Every time you hesitated, second-guessed, or walked away from something meant for you, doubt was at the door. And if you don't confront it, it will become your story. You'll spend your life wondering what could have happened if you had just moved in faith. Inner doubt doesn't just delay your purpose, it disconnects you from your power. It keeps you stuck in cycles of almost starting, almost believing, almost changing. But almost is not what you were created for. You were made to complete things, to fulfill things, to walk boldly into the fullness of who you are. The truth? You don't need to feel confident to move, you just need to obey the call. Your obedience is more powerful than your insecurity. And here's something the enemy doesn't want you to realize. Every time you choose faith over fear, the grip of doubt weakens. Every time you step forward, even if your knees shake, you build momentum. And momentum is dangerous to doubt, because once you start, the lie loses power. The chosen aren't fearless, they're faithful. They show up even when the voice says, "You can't." They move anyway. They speak even when their voice shakes. They act even when they feel unqualified. So now, when doubt whispers, you speak back. This is my season. I won't shrink. I was born to rise. You've come too far, survived too much. and grown too deep to let a lie stop you now. Inner doubt had its place, but its time is over. The real you is waking up, and that voice that once ruled you, it's about to get very quiet. Chapter 3. The Cost of Silence. What doubt has stolen. Let's be honest. Doubt has stolen from you not just opportunities or moments, but pieces of you. Dreams that once burned bright but slowly faded. Ideas that you talked yourself out of. The version of yourself that never saw the light of day, buried under hesitation and fear. Doubt doesn't always come crashing in. It doesn't always show up as failure. Sometimes it shows up as silence, as stillness, as that "I'll do it tomorrow" that turns into years. And before you realize it, you've built a life around avoiding the very thing you were created to do. Think about it. The career you didn't pursue because you thought you weren't good enough. The love you didn't fight for because you believed you weren't worthy. The dream you shelved because it didn't seem practical. The voice you silenced because you feared judgment. The purpose you postponed because doubt told you. It waits for you in the stillness. It shows up in those moments when you realize time has passed and you haven't moved. You tell yourself, maybe it wasn't meant to be, but deep down, you know that's not true. You know you gave up too soon. That's the real tragedy of inner doubt. It doesn't just delay you, it deceives you. It makes you settle for less and call it wisdom. It tells you that playing small is safe, that living average is responsible, that silencing your gift is being humble. And you bought into it, not because you were weak, but because you were wounded. Somewhere along the way, someone's words shaped your self-image. A past mistake haunted your confidence. A closed door convinced you not to try again. And little by little, you started shrinking. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. Your silence has a price. Every time you shrink, the world loses a part of your light. Every time you hold back, someone misses the blessing that only you were sent to carry. Doubt doesn't just cost you your dreams. It affects the lives connected to your calling, because chosen ones don't dream for themselves alone. Their purpose is generational, it's spiritual, it's bigger than one job, one opportunity, one relationship. That's why doubt fights you so hard, because if you ever fully stepped into your truth, if you ever owned your voice, your gifts, your anointing, the ripple effect would be unstoppable. But here's the grace. You're not out of time. If you're reading this now, it means the door is still open. It means God's not done with you. You didn't miss your moment. You're being recalled. Every delay can still be redeemed. Every mistake can be used. God specializes in restoring what was stolen. But you have to get honest. You have to confront what doubt has cost you, not to live in shame, but to choose change, to recognize that staying silent is no longer an option. God doesn't anoint people to live small lives. You weren't chosen to simply survive. You were chosen to shift atmospheres, to lead, to create, to heal, to speak, to build something eternal. If you're still breathing, there's still more you were born to do. It's not too late to write the book. It's not too late to change careers. It's not too late to forgive yourself. It's not too late to become who you were always meant to be. But you must decide, right here, right now, that doubt will not steal another chapter from your life. Chapter 4. Breaking the Agreement. You don't have to believe that voice. Here's the good news, something that can shift your entire life if you let it sink in. Doubt may have whispered lies to you for years, but you don't have to agree with them anymore. You see, most people think they need to feel ready before they move, before they launch, before they speak, before they obey. They're waiting for the fear to go away before they start walking in purpose. But that's not how the journey works. Not for the chosen. The chosen don't move because they're fearless. They move because they're faithful. Faith isn't the absence of fear. It's deciding to believe what God said, even when fear is screaming louder. It's choosing divine truth over emotional noise. And the truth is, for too long, you've been in silent agreement with doubt. You didn't mean to, but every time you repeated its lies in your mind, I'm not ready, I'm not qualified, I'm not enough, you were giving it power. Every time you paused because of fear, stayed silent to keep the peace, or dimmed your light to make others comfortable, you were unknowingly saying yes to doubt. But that agreement, it's not permanent. You can break it today. It begins with a decision, a mental, spiritual, and emotional shift. You stop repeating the lies and start standing in the truth. You stop aligning with fear and start aligning with faith. Here's the truth. You are capable. You are worthy. You are enough. You were chosen on purpose, not by accident. You carry something the world needs. You are not too late, too flawed, or too far gone. You don't need another 100 confirmations to move forward. You don't need to have every detail figured out. What you need is the courage to take one bold step. Even if your hands are shaking, even if your voice trembles, even if you're scared. Fear does not disqualify you. Let that sink in. Fear is not your disqualification. It's your opportunity. It's a chance to demonstrate obedience. Because obedience in the face of fear is what builds strength. That's what silences doubt over time. Not waiting until you feel brave, but showing up anyway. You weren't created to serve fear. You weren't created to follow lies. You were created to lead, to shift atmospheres, to release light into dark places, to bring heaven to earth through your gifts, your voice, your presence, your yes. That inner voice of doubt, it doesn't have the final say anymore. From this moment forward, you you cast down the lie that says you're not enough. And you pick up a new truth, a new declaration, a new agreement with heaven. I am who God says I am. Say it again. Write it down. Repeat it every time doubt tries to rise again. I am chosen. I am equipped. I am ready. I am not too late. I am walking in purpose, even if I have to walk afraid. This is your shift. This is your moment. The old agreement ends here. And a new chapter, one rooted in faith, power, and truth, begins now. Chapter 5. Faith in action. How chosen ones fight back. Chosen ones don't just sit still and hope things change. They don't hide behind fear, waiting for a miracle to fall in their lap. Yes, they pray. Yes, they seek divine direction. But after that, they move. They understand that faith without action is incomplete. They know that obedience is the true sign of faith. You don't fight inner doubt by overthinking it. You don't defeat fear by negotiating with it. You fight back by doing the very thing doubt told you you couldn't. You fight back by acting in spite of fear. That means you speak up, even when your voice shakes and you're afraid of being misunderstood. You apply for the position, even when you feel underqualified and inexperienced. You open your heart again, even though you've been hurt before. You step into leadership, even when you feel unworthy or unprepared. You create, you build, you give, you show up again and again, despite the voice that says you're not enough. And here's the thing, every single time you take a step in faith, you weaken the grip of doubt. Every bold move chips away at the stronghold that fear tried to build around your life. Each decision made in faith is a direct act of war against the enemy's lies. And that war, you're winning it. Not with perfection, but with persistence. This kind of boldness isn't arrogance. It's alignment. It's not you trying to prove anything to the world. It's you stepping into the identity God already declared over you. It's you coming into agreement with your original design, the divine blueprint spoken over your life before you ever took your first breath. That version of you, the bold, confident, focused, faith-filled version, has always existed. Doubt just buried it. But now you're digging it out. You're reclaiming what's yours. Will you win every battle? Number. Some days you'll trip. Some days the fear will feel louder than your faith. But here's the truth. You don't have to win every battle to win the war. Every time you move forward, even by an inch, you take back territory. Every act of obedience is a declaration. Doubt doesn't own me anymore. You don't need to feel powerful to be powerful. You need to be consistent. You need to choose faith over fear, truth over lies, action over avoidance. Doubt thrives in delay. It grows in stillness. It multiplies when you wait for the perfect moment. But it dies when you move. It dies when you do the thing scared. It dies when you take the leap, even though the net isn't visible yet. It dies when you stop letting fear narrate your story. Because here's the ultimate truth. Doubt can't live where faith is moving. You want to silence the voice of, "I can't." Prove it wrong. Do what it said you couldn't. Go where it said you wouldn't. Become who it said you'd never be. That's how chosen ones fight back, not with noise, not with perfection, but with action, with obedience, with motion in the direction of their calling. You've been equipped, you've been appointed, you've been prepared. Now it's time to move. Chapter 6. The Rise, Becoming Who You Were Always Meant to Be. Something shifts, deeply and permanently, when a chosen one finally believes. Not just intellectually, not just in theory, but when belief drops from the mind into the spirit, when it becomes more than a wish and turns into a knowing. That's when the real transformation begins. That's when doubt loses its grip. Not because it disappears, but because it no longer holds authority. You start speaking with clarity. You stop second-guessing your voice. Your presence carries a quiet confidence. Not the kind that needs attention, but the kind that commands respect without saying a word. Your choices begin flowing from vision instead of fear. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. You begin to shape environments instead of adapting to them. You move with purpose, and purpose changes everything. And people will notice. Some will be inspired. They'll watch your courage and realize they've been holding back. They'll hear your voice and find their own. Because when a chosen one rises, everything starts to shift. Even if the changes are quiet at first, even if no one claps, even if it doesn't make sense to everyone else, heaven takes notice. The earth begins to respond. Atmospheres shift. Opportunities come. Doors open. And most importantly, you begin to recognize yourself again. The real you. The version that's been buried under fear, silence, trauma, and doubt. You begin to see the old voice of doubt for what it is, just noise. You hear it, but it doesn't stop you anymore. You've lived through too much. You've healed from too much. You've endured too much to go back now. The power it once held over you is gone, because you finally realize it never had real power in the first place. It just had your agreement. And now you've taken that agreement back. You don't need perfection to rise. You don't need to have it all figured out. What you need is permission. And that permission has already been given by God Himself. You don't need another sign. You are the sign. You are living, breathing proof that purpose is real. You're evidence that grace wins, that doubt can be defeated, that healing is possible, that rising is not a fantasy. It's a divine assignment. So now, your job isn't to keep waiting, not to wait for the right mood, not to wait until you feel ready, not to wait until everyone understands. Now is the moment. This is the season. The calling has been placed, the door has been opened, and the only thing left to do is walk through it. When you rise, something spiritual happens. Your life becomes a message, a sermon without words, a signpost pointing others toward hope. People start to believe in possibility, not because you're perfect, but because you're present, because you showed up, because you overcame what tried to silence you. And that's the point. The rise isn't just about you, it's about the many who are watching you, quietly hoping that you make it. Because if you can rise after all the setbacks, all the fear, all the rejection, then maybe, just maybe, they can too. That's how revival starts, not in crowds, but in individuals, one chosen one at a time, standing tall in truth, moving in obedience, living in purpose. And now it's your time to rise. Chapter 7. The Legacy. Why you had to overcome chosen one. Hear this clearly. This was never just about you. Every struggle you faced, every moment you wrestled with doubt, every time you almost gave up, there was purpose in all of it. You weren't just fighting for your own breakthrough. You were fighting for those connected to you, your family, your children, your friends, your generation. You are a blueprint, a pattern breaker, a door opener. Someone else's freedom is tied to your obedience. This is why the enemy came for your mind so aggressively. He wasn't just attacking your confidence, he was targeting your calling. Because if you ever truly believed in who you are, if you ever realized the authority you carry, you would become unstoppable. And now you're beginning to believe, you're beginning to see, and everything is shifting. So let this be your declaration. No more living small, no more agreeing with lies, no more playing safe with your purpose. You are the chosen one, not because you're perfect, but because God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Your greatest enemy was never outside you. It was the voice inside that said, "You're not enough." But that voice has lost its power. It no longer controls you. Now you rise, not in pride, but in truth, not to impress, but to impact. Not just for your healing, but for the healing of others who are waiting to see what's possible. This is your legacy, to walk in your calling, to break cycles, to be the evidence that faith works and doubt loses. You were chosen for this. Now walk like it.